Hello, friends, BU friends, and I am so excited to be a part of this chat and this book club tonight. Welcome, everybody. So good to see your faces. And look at there, I think just about everybody's video is on. So wonderful. We are actually going to do a repeat of last week. So do you guys all remember what happened last week? You all remember how Shelley said, you all add value, you all are valuable. So we really want a lot of people to, or everyone, to add value tonight. And, you know, whether you've been new, whether you're just new here this week or whatever, or if you've been here 7 to 10 years, you all have a different perspective. You all have something valuable to say. And you know, we're all learning and growing every day, and these book clubs are just so helpful. They, you know, we can learn from each other, and these are just so helpful for our growth journey. So I want to hear from everybody, please. So yeah, tonight we are on chapter 7 and 8. You know what? I don't know if I introduced myself though. I'm Geraldine Westra. Did I even say that? Most of you know, but so yeah, tonight we do 7 and 8, and the chapter number 7 is the chapter is called I Object. But just reading the first paragraph, even I thought, you know what, this is all about mindset. This is total mindset here. It says, don't fear objections, embrace them. And how many times do we not, you know, do that? You know, we don't embrace objections, we fear them. So it's a mindset game. Objections are a very helpful way to move the conversation about your business forward when you treat them like requests for more information. So when I read that, I thought, yeah, this is definitely a mindset thing. So, and let's see. You know, and I think then the bottom of that paragraph talked about servant mentality. I really loved that, where it said, you know, don't get defensive and don't go into the convincing mode. We are sorting people, not convincing them. If your focus remains on being of service to your prospect to help him or her understand our business model, and then turn the page, your company's and what's in it for them, the conversation will be relaxed, authentic, efficient, and helpful. How many of you feel that your conversations are relaxed when you are in the convincing mode? I want to hear about experiences from you guys.
When I go into convincing mode like that, it is not a natural conversation. It is more me trying to figure out how I'm going to defend whatever it is they're saying. Whereas when you have their best interest in mind, you can go into that conversation really listening first and then working with them to discover how you can, you know, help them with their problems or help them with their objections.
So good, Michelle. Absolutely. Anyone else?
I feel like I start rambling, like I'm waiting for them to say something. So you're just kind of rambling, saying everything that you think you know about the product or the business, so that you don't think they can say anything else, that you just keep going, you know, word vomiting everything that you know to get, so that they can't be like, well, what about this? No, I've already said it all, so you don't have to say anything. And like, that's normally when I get nervous, I start talking fast. And so that's when like I start talking like a million miles a minute, and then nobody understands me. So then I get really uncomfortable because I can hear myself talking very fast. And then I try to tell myself to calm down. And then it's just a battle in my own head. And I forget about what we're talking about. And it's just better not to go there. We're just not going to go there.
I love that, Rochelle. That's all like learning. That's just a part of growing. We've all been there. So thank you for sharing that. I loved when she talked on the middle of page about 106 about respond with a question. So a lot of times people's objections, they don't understand either what they're objecting to or why they're objecting. So then I'll just say, I know we've studied this before several years ago, like, oh, it sounds like you've had a bad experience. Can you tell me about that? Or what makes you think that? And I just feel like letting them kind of explain where they're coming from helps you get into their brain a little bit, what they're thinking more, and it also helps them feel heard.
I think that's a bold question. You know, it's bold, but yet authentic. You know, you really want to hear and listen, like you said.
I feel like too, sometimes they're just kind of in a little bit of an internal war with themselves. Like they know they need this, but they're used to either quitting on themselves or there's an argument happening in the back of their mind that's like, well, either it's too expensive or I can't see myself sticking with this, or is it going to really, I mean, they've got these objections that they're just naturally going to build up in their head to have this argument with themselves. And I think we've talked about this before when we've done this book club, but sometimes you ask the questions and you're trying to uncover their pain points and get to the heart of what's really going on with them. And they're just going to have an answer for every question you ask. And so even throwing at them sometimes those situations where you're like, you know, it sounds like maybe you're just not really ready for this. And kind of just doing a little bit of a pullback and saying, maybe now's not the right time for you. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, sometimes that comes into play too.
So true. Love that. And I love that about the, you know, that when Janelle said it too, the clarifying question. And then, you know, so they go into the objections and, you know, I can't remember how many objections there were, but when you were reading through these objections, I would like to hear, you know, which one do you guys experience the most, or do you have a great tip about a certain one that you want to share with us? Yeah, we'd love to hear a little bit more about your experiences.
I think the most one I hear about is I don't have time for this. And what's good about this business is you can do it in your spare time. I mean, if you have any, you know, when your kids go to bed at night, you know, and just little nooks and crannies of your day, you know. But that's what a lot of objections are, is, you know, I don't have time. I don't have any extra time. But, you know, I think if you really want it, then you'll have plenty of time for it.
Priorities, huh? Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
That's when you want to.
Sorry, Shell. Okay, I'll go. I didn't have a specific one that stuck out to me because I mean, we've heard them all. If you've heard one, you've heard them all. But what I love is that she said the one that you hear the most is the one that like you're the most insecure about. And man, I was like, okay, which one is it for me? And I was like, yeah, she's absolutely right. And then it like hit me. I'm like, man, That is the one that I guess I do hear the most, the one that I'm most insecure about. And that for me is I don't want to bother my friends. I've told my upline this, like, I have confidence in these products because it has literally changed my life. I have confidence in the business. And I think what sometimes holds me back is like, what are people gonna think of me? Or are they gonna catch the belief for it? Like, are they gonna want to run with it just like I did? And I'm like, this has made such a huge difference for me, and so I want them to feel that way too. And so I reach out almost timidly sometimes and going, well, I don't want to bother them, what are they going to think of me? And I think it was Sarah posted the other day, she said, when someone questioned that, like, why are you still posting about Plexus? She's like, that got me. That like really hit my heart and my integrity, going, I wouldn't share this if I didn't believe in it. I wouldn't share it if it wasn't like life-changing for me. I don't just go out there and want your money. Like, I share it because I'm passionate. I believe in it truly. So I need to get over that. I don't want to bother my friends because I want my friends to feel the way I'm feeling.
So it goes back to that mindset again. Yeah, that's what going through all of these objections, it was just mindset and how we think and yeah. So I just love that.
Can I share one tip? You asked for something that we've kind of implemented. And if you've been on here a long time, you've probably heard me say this before, but it's been a while since I've shared it. So for you newbies, something that really helped not only my mindset, but when I come to the objection, I don't have enough money, because we all hear that all the time, it's too expensive. So I just tell people, when I started, I looked at it as, okay, I didn't feel good. I went to my doctor. I was willing to spend money on labs. If my doctor would have wrote me a prescription on a piece of paper and said to me, here's this prescription, but I don't want you to fill it unless you can promise me you're going to take it every day for 6 months. It's going to cost about $140 a month. And you have to do X, Y, and Z. You have to talk to me. You have to drink water. You have to take it every day. Here's this prescription. Would I have taken it and filled it? Or would I dumped it in the trash? And you can bet your bottom dollar I would have taken that and filled it, because I needed it and I wanted it and I was willing to try. So I just tell my people, like, okay, if your doctor handed you this and said, I think you should try these supplements for 6 months, would you do it? So what's the difference? It's coming from a doctor, or it's coming from somebody that doesn't make money off of pharmaceuticals. But that helped me like make it just way more crystal clear in my mind. And so I passed that on to others, and yeah, it's been very helpful in certain situations. So you can tuck that in your back pocket and use it if you need it.
Thank you. So good. Any other tips from somebody?
Hey guys, I wanted to share, last time we went through this book, this chapter was huge for me. And I knew that I would read the book and not be able to take this away and come up with these answers when I needed to. So I put them all into a Google Doc and I printed it out and I like tacked it to my office wall. So I still have that Google Doc. When we post the recording of this call, I will attach that in there, because it's just a quick short version that can be sitting right in your office when you're answering messages.
That would be great. Thank you, Kay. Yeah, isn't it something how we can, these are just things we can just copy and paste almost as a kind of like the feel, felt, found. I love the feel, felt, found method of these, objections. So what about, I have never heard myself the word pyramid. But I do hear MLMs a lot, that I've had a couple of people say, well, I'm not gonna support MLMs. So, how many, what about you guys? Have you heard that one several times? What has been your experience with it?
I've heard people talk about other MLMs and how like none of it obviously gets to the root. They don't come out and say it like it gets, it doesn't get to the root, but they're explaining it on how none of it does get to the root of any of the health issues they're having. Like it's just a temporary band-aid. Like just a little bit ago, we were talking about this other girl I was going to sign up, and she was like, well, I've tried It Works, I've tried Beachbody. And I was like, yes, I know. And those things are so different. I said, because those companies are out just to get your money, because it's for a quick fix, because once you stop taking it, then I mean, you're out of luck, and it's not even targeting your gut health, which is really the root of everything else that you're trying to deal with. I said, so when you get to your root of your gut health, then everything else starts to fall back into place. You're going to start sleep, give her the list of things, X, Y, Z. So that really intrigues people too. And then you talk about the community behind it, which a lot of other companies, MLMs, they have the community, but are they really there for people like they say they are? Like, do they really go out of their way to make their sponsors day, or do they go out of their way to really communicate? Like, is it really separating? Are we really separating from other MLMs? I feel like it's a lot different than other MLMs for sure. And I think that's what kind of pulled me in, and many other people on my team too, is just showing them the community, showing them these team calls that are important and so vital for their business too.
I have to share a quick
I don't
story.
that-
Oh, sorry. Are we good? I'll try to share my quick story. I went for a coffee with a potential the other day, and she was telling me how people will build under their MLMs, and just, some of the like cheap kind of reactions in this business. And I was like, we don't do that at all. And then she told me about another Plexus ambassador, because she had been taking the products and she was signing people up under her, even though she wasn't like ordering. So this girl has complete control of her account. And I'm like, are you getting paid for these orders? No. I mean, so there is a lot of crap out there. And I did not even know that, because our team has such good integrity and we do truly do Plexus different. So when we have those posts that say Plexus is different, we really have to tell people how we are different, because people have been burned. I have never experienced that. I've never heard of that. I don't have that kind of integrity that I could even sleep at night doing something like that. And for this gal, I was like, I'll be honest, if you want to take the products, I'll help you. But if you're, I didn't want to steal her. That's what I told her. I said, I won't steal people from others, but this is not okay. If you choose to pull away from her and want to take the products, I will help you. But if you're going to order under her, then she needs to help you. And she's like, I think I need to cancel my account. And I'm like, yes, you do. But yeah, so there is some scary stories out there.
Were you gonna share something, Shelley? Or Sally?
Oh, I was just gonna say, they don't know what they don't know. Like, they've been misinformed at some point along the way, whether it's due to just bad experience or just believing what they see or have heard from somebody. And so much like the products, it's just our job to educate and to help them make the best decision for them, and to build that belief in a very truthful, transparent way, and let them know what network marketing is really about. And yeah, pyramid schemes are illegal, and I'm so glad that we aren't part of that, or I wouldn't be partaking in this business. Just they don't know what they don't know. And so it's a very you can be very non-defensive about it, and sometimes it gets us riled up, right? Because we're just ticked off that people say this stuff anyway. But staying calm and just be very objective about it, and just sharing the facts, like, this is what I know to be true, and sharing that with them, and just kind of just clearing up the misunderstanding.
Did you want to say something, Sal? I can't remember. I thought I seen your thing light up.
Um, just basically the same thing. I think most people who come and say no or have a bad taste is because they were wronged in it with another company or had a bad experience with another company. And so I think as Plexus ambassadors, it's very important for us to have integrity and to not, be doing anything like that. And also just spreading to our audience and sharing with our audience that we are different. And so making sure you post about that on your Facebook page, like we're not all created equal here. This is what Plexus is about. This is how we do things over here. Don't be afraid to share that with your audience and with your people, because we want them to know that our company is very different, and we don't, just get involved in that slimy stuff. So that's all I was going to say.
Thank you, Sal.
I know we kind of passed this part, but I wanted to say something about the money objection. Just because I'm new to Plexus in the last year and I was with another company, which I just don't, I could never, like in this book, she talks about how she has to like ask people if, they have a credit card, they could put something on, to get going in business. And with us, like, we literally do not have to, I mean, they can be a VIP and then decide they want a business tomorrow and they don't have to give any more money to do that. I mean, their annual subscription. So I just think it's crazy that, they don't have to invest in any inventory, anything, just in their own health to do this business. And I think that really sets us apart because you don't have to ask them to do anything else. They can just, it's theirs for the taking. So there is no objection there.
So true. Thank you, Jackie. Okay, it is, we should get to chapter 8 unless someone wanted to, someone have anything else on chapter 7? Then we'll go to 8 and, once again, I think this is another mindset thing, she's just not that into you, or is she? Love how, this talks about the constipated funnel. When you have people stuck in your funnel, it's really messes with you and your business. It's distracting, frustrating, and emotionally and energetically draining. And that can be, how many of us haven't, pre-Plexus had the same thing physically as what it's talking about right here, so we can relate in so many ways with this constipated funnel. And yeah, if you're about the third paragraph down, the golden nuggets. I loved the 3 golden nuggets because they once again are, basically a mindset. Don't be attached to the outcome. It's what's in it for them. So in other words, it's God's timing. The second one basically is scarcity mindset. Your fear of asking the bold questions, fear of losing them. And the third one is the takeaway. Kind of what Shelley was talking about, the playing ball. Just take it away from them. Then, they're not ready, and we don't want them if we don't really want them if they're not ready. Maybe that's kind of harsh to say, but it's kind of the truth. We just, if they're not ready, they're not ready. So, I think I asked, are we really listening when I think the bottom of page 114, our job is to ask enough questions and really listen. Let's see, somebody talked about that too. Oh, Michelle, I think she talked about that right away at the beginning. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should be using them proportionally. And good questions are essential. And I know a lot of times, for me anyway, my mindset sometimes is too, well, what question do I ask? Well, maybe if I'm asking that question, I'm so worried about the question that I have to ask, I'm not listening. What Michelle said earlier about, listening, and trying to find the answer while they're talking instead of really listening to what they're saying. So I love that. So what do you guys have on this chapter? I know we talked about the three-way call, yeah, and just the whole thing of she's not that into you. What thoughts do you have on this chapter?
I guess something that impresses me is how she keeps referring back to referrals. She's always like, okay, so if it's not for you, then who do you know that could use X, Y, and Z? I feel like every time I read this book, I think this is the third time we've gone through this book since I've started, that always impresses me, but for some reason, I forget to implement it. I do it once in a while, but it's just not natural. I'm just curious if any of you guys have really like success stories on that. I would be super interested if any of you guys do that quite a bit, ask for referrals, and if that's been something that's worked for you.
I've done it in cold messages where if they say no, then I'm like, okay, that's okay. But do you know anybody who can benefit from, blood sugar inflammation and gut health or whatever? I've never gotten anybody to give me names. But I have always asked. Usually I get ghosted because they're like, I'm done talking to you. I don't want to hear you anymore. But I've never done it on the phone when I've had somebody who's like, no, not yet. But I've done it in cold messages. So.
I was going to ask that same thing, Janelle, about if people had any experience with referrals, but I do like the third paragraph on page 116, how it kind of it's almost like she's playing ball, that thing that Shelley was talking about, kind of, it's almost like you're taking it away from them and you're giving them FOMO, it seems like, in that paragraph. It's kind of like, oh, well, maybe I should be doing this. Sure, I maybe know somebody, but maybe I should be the one doing it, So yeah, I kind of just see that was a good paragraph. I thought that was a good way to ask for referrals and kind of get them to think of the FOMO thing. But yeah, anybody else have a referral story?
Yeah, same here. I guess I never thought about that. I have asked for referrals, but I do that all the time when I send out cold messages. When they tell me no, I say, okay, that's great. No pressure, no problem. And if you would ever change your mind, could you just let me know? Or if you know of anyone that I could help with these amazing products, just give me a shout out. And yeah, I've never heard anything back from them, giving me names, but I do that with every no that I get on my cold messages. So maybe one of these times it will happen.
I've gotten several referrals actually, and it's a blessing and I love it. And one thing that I have noticed that works really well is if I get a no from someone, I have just a kind of a script I use. I've shared this before, but I know there's a lot of new people here. I have a script that I use because a lot of times people don't really know what they're saying no to. They don't really know what Plexus does or how it can help a lot of health issues that we know that they have, right? So I'm very specific in my reply back to them when they say no. So I will say something like, okay, no problem. If you know of anyone who struggles with very specific fibromyalgia, that's what I had. Migraine headaches, that's what I had, digestive issues like IBS or whatever. I list them out specifically. Even things like fatigue and energy and what most people need. And that itself has had people turn around and come back and say, oh, well, actually, I do struggle with that. Can you tell me more? So I think that is good to just kind of be specific in your reply back, because it will pique their interest. And the next time they're talking to their neighbor or their friend or their sister, and their neighbor says, I was just diagnosed with fibromyalgia, or I have digestive issues like IBS, then that's going to trigger that in their head, and they're going to be like, oh, actually, I just talked to a person who has some products that could help that. So just a tip.
Thanks, Sal. Okay, it is 9 o'clock in Iowa anyway. I did like on page 118, the last sentence of the first paragraph. And this is, I think maybe this could be a self-examining thing too. Do you believe you have what it takes to do this? I know this, in the paragraph, it talks about talking to someone else about it. But that we talk about belief a lot, the 3 beliefs. We have to believe in the company, our products, but do we believe that we have what it takes to do this? So important. I think, we're kind of hardest on ourselves a lot of times, I think, and there, it's the old mindset thing again, but it's super important to, and I don't know about you, but I remember I was listening to, I think it was Christina Williams, one of her videos where, most of us, I don't know, maybe a show of hands, how many would say that you did not, or you struggle with belief in yourself? Would you say that? Well, I think Christina Williams is one that would say no. She said that in one of her videos. She had a lack of belief maybe in the business aspect, but she had total belief in herself. She knew she could do it. We should all have that. We're always the hardest on ourselves, I think. But okay, anything else? It's after 9. Page 121, when they've given you all the objections, and then it said, do you really want this person on your team? Then, I think maybe there comes a time when we do have to, go through that list of people of what we want to see on our team, and, the values we want them to have, and that the people that we want to work with, and if they don't, and if they're giving you so many objections and questioning you, do you really want them on your team? I think maybe that's something we gotta think about. But
I love that, Jer, and I was just going to speak to that too. And I know she talks about in this chapter, she's just not into you, but she's what it is he or she is just not ready at this time to either take the products or do the business or both. It's not a reflection on you as a person or your character or the business that you're running or how you're reaching out to people. We talk about this before. It's just as simple as offering somebody a glass of water in a restaurant. Either they'll take it or they're not, or they won't, but we aren't going to attach any meaning at all to our worth as far as how they're responding to that question or to that offer. But if you keep branding yourself in a very authentic way and a true way to who you are as a person and what you're looking to attract, the process of doing that in a lot of ways will naturally weed out the ones that maybe you aren't going to connect with or aren't right for your team, or that aren't the type of person that you would want to link arms with and go forward with anyway. So just being true to the process that we use and the system that we use, I think is really key. And you can emotionally remove yourself from the outcome of, oh my gosh, this person I've known for 20 years and they're ghosting me. It has nothing to do with you. Either they're busy or they're struggling with something. They're kind of going through, should I do this? Should I not? It's just not important to them at that time. They don't feel crappy enough, but it has nothing to do with you as a person, or the fact that you're even doing this business.
Yes, 100%. Or I found that they're not getting back to you because they don't like to tell you no. They don't want to tell you no thanks. They're afraid or don't want to hurt your feelings maybe. So that's I've had that happen to me a lot. And I have noticed when I read this book, I started doing this however many years ago, and it really works. When someone ghosts you, I use that exact verbiage like, hey, listen, I'm not tied to your yes or no. It doesn't matter. I just need to, I just need to know either way. It's okay. Letting them know that it's okay. If they tell you no, you don't really care. I mean, you really do, but you're not tied to that. It's been a really good way for me to get people to reply. So.
All right. Thank you, Sal. Shelley? Anyone else? So much goodness in these chapters. I think maybe it was the first time that I went through this book. I wrote on here, John Maxwell, confidence builders and confidence breakers. Don't remember exactly, I don't know if that's really a book, but John Maxwell has a lot of books to build confidence in some of the objections, even in the chapter 7. But anyway, yeah. Then that last chapter, just keep talking to people, love the process. Let's keep loving the process, people. Anyone else want to say anything before we end? It's 7 minutes after already, so.
I liked on 122 where it said common knowledge doesn't mean common action. Just because they have the same info as you, it doesn't mean they're going to act on it like you. We know these products are for everyone and they can help everyone. Some people just don't want to be helped, I guess. And that's how I've been kind of taking it, is I want to help everyone and some people just don't want to be helped. And I guess I have to be okay with that, but they should.
I love that, Rochelle. All right. If anybody else, otherwise we will quit the meeting and stop the recording and say good night. I want to thank you all personally for sharing. Love all the value that you added. Thank you so much. All right. See ya.